Iran is fracturing from the inside, and nobody in Tehran agrees on who's actually in charge. A secret power struggle between Iran's president, its parliament speaker, and the IRGC is now threatening to collapse the nuclear negotiations entirely. And if that happens, what comes next isn't a peace deal. It's a $15 million hypersonic missile the United States has never fired in combat. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll understand exactly why the next 72 hours could determine whether this ends at a negotiating table or in flames. Let's start with the power struggle nobody's talking about. Iran's President Pezeshkian and Parliament Speaker Kalibaf are reportedly moving to remove Foreign Minister Arachi, and the reason why tells you everything about who's really running Iran right now. According to Iran International, Arachi stands accused of taking direct instructions from the IRGC commander during nuclear talks without telling the government. Think about what that means. Iran's own foreign minister may be secretly operating on behalf of the military, not the elected government. If you've been following this story with us, you know this is exactly the kind of internal collapse we've been tracking daily. Hit the like button right now if you want us to keep breaking this down every single day. It genuinely helps us reach more people. Here's what makes this even more explosive. Kalibaf, the parliament speaker, was originally the lead negotiator when Iran's delegation traveled to Pakistan. He was the face of those talks. But the moment they returned to Tehran, the IRGC quietly stripped him of that role. Arachi then flew back to Pakistan alone to present Iran's latest proposal to the United States. Kalibaf wasn't on that plane. Now here's what you need to understand about Kalibaf. This man has run for president of Iran 3 separate times and lost every single time. But the people who kept blocking him, they're either dead or in hiding. This might finally be his moment. And that's precisely why the United States had been treating him as Iran's de facto power broker ever since Ali Khamenei was taken off the board. But now he's being pushed aside, and he's fighting back. Subscribe to stay with this story. It changes every single day, and we're here every day to walk you through it. So where do the nuclear negotiations actually stand? In the last 2 weeks, Iran has submitted 2 separate peace proposals to the United States through Pakistan. The first plan offered to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and end hostilities, but it deliberately avoided any mention of the nuclear issue, essentially asking America to lift the blockade first and deal with nukes later. The United States rejected it immediately. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff then sent back a counterproposal that did something important. It reinserted the nuclear question directly into the draft. 2 specific conditions were added. Iran must not move any enriched uranium currently stored underground, and Iran must not rebuild any nuclear infrastructure while talks are ongoing. The reason for these conditions is obvious and worth saying clearly. No one is willing to negotiate peace while Iran quietly assembles a nuclear weapon in the background. And before you think Iran could pull that off in secret, understand this. Israeli intelligence has so thoroughly penetrated Iran's nuclear apparatus that any movement around those sites would be flagged almost immediately. The United States also has satellite coverage over every known Iranian nuclear facility. Any heavy equipment rolling in, any excavation, any suspicious movement, it ends the talks on the spot. Now listen to what President Trump said publicly just yesterday, because this tells you everything about the pressure Iran is feeling right now.
Iran is dying to make a deal. Their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, drone factories 82% down, missile factories almost 90% down. We just hit a new high today on the stock market.
That statement came just hours before Iran submitted its second peace proposal. And while Trump was speaking, the Pentagon was already holding a separate meeting behind closed doors with CENTCOM commanders, reviewing options for a short, powerful wave of strikes designed to break the negotiating deadlock. Admiral Brad Cooper, head of U.S. Central Command, has formally requested the Army's Dark Eagle hypersonic missile be deployed to the Middle East. Here's why that request matters. Iran has repositioned its missile launchers beyond the 300-mile range of precision strike weapons the U.S. has used so far. The Dark Eagle has a range of 1,500 miles. It has never been used in combat. Lockheed Martin built it specifically to penetrate Russian and Chinese advanced air defense systems. There are reportedly only 8 of them in existence. Each missile costs $15 million. The launch battery costs $2.7 billion. The fact that the U.S. is even discussing deploying this weapon tells you how serious the military option has become. After a classified Senate briefing, Senator Blumenthal stepped out and said something that stopped the room. That an imminent military strike was, in his words, very much on the table, and that it could involve American sons and daughters in harm's way. While generals plan and diplomats negotiate, the Iranian people are being crushed. Operation Economic Fury is working. brutally. The Iranian rial has hit an all-time historic low. Inflation has surged past 67% year over year. The economy is technically reopening under the ceasefire, but it's not recovering. It's bleeding. Companies are threatening mass layoffs just to survive. Food, fuel, and basic goods are being rationed. Iran's seaborne trade, which made up 90% of its commerce through the Strait of Hormuz, has been almost entirely halted. The country is losing an estimated $450 million every single day the blockade holds. And here's the time bomb hiding inside these numbers. The last time economic pressure reached this level in Iran, protests erupted across the country in January. Iranian leadership knows that clock is running again. They just don't know exactly how much time is left. And neither does anyone else, because showing that desperation would hand the United States its most powerful negotiating weapon. And then there's the human cost that no spreadsheet can capture. Trump confirmed yesterday that 42,000 Iranian protesters have been executed by the regime in the past 2 months alone. He personally intervened to stop the execution of 8 women who were hours away from being hanged. 4 have been released, 4 more are expected to be released within a month. He also spoke about a world champion wrestler, executed, not for fighting, not for carrying a weapon, but for speaking critically about the regime. His teammates were killed alongside him. This is the government that Iran's IRGC is protecting. This is what's at stake beneath the diplomatic language and the missile ranges and the peace proposals. Here's where everything stands right now. Iran has submitted a second peace plan. The United States is reviewing it. The military strike option remains active. The Dark Eagle sits ready. The Iranian economy is disintegrating, and the internal power struggle between the president, the parliament speaker, and the IRGC means that even if a deal is drafted, nobody can be certain who has the authority to actually sign it. If this breakdown gave you clarity on what's actually happening in Iran right now, drop a comment below. Tell us, do you think Iran will sign a deal this week, or is the military option inevitable? Your answer might surprise you when you compare it to what others are saying. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. We're on the ground with this story every single day, and tomorrow's update is already going to change what you think you know today.